I'm not seeing anything yet. Usually takes a minute to kick into.
All right. It looks like, are we live?
I don't know yet. I've just refreshed my page here, and I guess we will find out. The community's probably the best ones to tell us if we are live. Yeah, it says we're live.
We're live, so awesome. Cool. Good deal. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to the kind of a sneak peek of ProTips Live for Thinkific. We just kind of announced this a few days ago, maybe it was a day or two ago, and we're officially kicking this off on Thursday, but we wanted to kind of do a little dry run here, work out all the kinks, and give kind of the eager beavers a chance at some sneak peek content. So welcome. Just kind of let us know if you hear us okay in the chat. Kim's monitoring the chat. We got a lot of windows open here at the same time. So just had some feedback there. So awesome, Kim. Thanks for coming on here tonight as well. You want to say a few words?
So great. Hi, Rob. Do you want to do short intros here?
Yeah. So let's kick that off with an intro. So why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself.
Absolutely. Sounds good. So I am Kim Garnett, better known by my clients as Brainy Girl. I'm the founder of Brainy Girl. And so what I really do is help course creators get their courses online, specifically on the Thinkific platform, and build better connections with their audience through digital technology and online marketing.
Awesome. And my name is Rob Galvin, and I've been working with Thinkific for a little while now and really specializing in custom experiences and helping clients kind of deliver just a unique experience with Thinkific, whether it's a branded experience or really just kind of a custom, feel to Thinkific, and help people, kind of launch their sites and really get their students and members excited about using their content. So thanks for coming on today. A lot of people asked us why we were doing this. Kim and I were talking about, kind of the trends for next year, and we all really kind of strongly agreed that one of the things that we think is going to be big, and has been, building up for a little while, is this live component, right? We're all building courses, which is great, but a lot of times people want this live access to you, right? That's part of the reason why they're buying. And Kim and I have been helping kind of, I think, collectively together now, probably hundreds of people launch and grow their business with Thinkific. And we wanted to kind of leverage this experience that we have with all of our clients and kind of share this knowledge with you in a live setting, right? So you'll see a lot of this is unscripted, this is raw, this is live. And we like the fact that it is live because, you have an opportunity to ask us anything you want, and we'll hopefully have an answer for you. And if not, we'll come back with answers for you as well. So, Kim, what do you think about this kind of, trend for live setting?
Sorry, hang on, Rob. I'm trying to do some tech behind the scenes to try and make sure that I'm actually seeing the comments that are coming in. For those of you who are just tuning in, we're actually doing this from a webinar platform and streaming live into Facebook. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not missing any integral chat that's happening or comments that's going on. So, okay, back to the question. What was the question, Rob?
Sorry. Hey, this is all about live, right? So this is the beauty of going live and why we're doing this dry run. So that was really just kind of like, what we were talking about yesterday in terms of having this live component and how important it is and the value that we can get out of it.
Oh my gosh, I think it's everything with what, over 80% of us consuming video content on a daily basis. I know that so many people are scared to go live, like what if someone doesn't show up, and what if I'm talking to myself, and what if I stumble over my words. But this video, particularly live video, is really the best way to build relationships and connect with your audience quickly. And that in the online space is what helps you stand out. Having direct access to you is something that people kind of crave and really want. And so you can do that easily and free now with live video.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Live video.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're always, I think some people may be getting tired of this, the course content and having to just kind of trudge through it and get through it. And it's important that you have this live component, and that's why we're here today. So first, a couple things I wanted to get kind of squared away and kind of give you guys an idea of how these sessions will run, right? And we're kind of doing this very dynamic in terms of we're letting you guys drive how we deliver content to you, what information we want to talk about, how we can best serve you, right? This is why we're doing this. So a couple things just, wanted to come out and say, like, we are not employed by Thinkific at all, even though we love the platform. We're working on it for a few years now. We have no employment connections at all with Thinkific. We're not an employee, and sometimes we get confused, right, since we're always jumping in, helping out people quite a bit. But we're definitely not employed by Thinkific. Our opinions are our own. You'll see a lot of times Kim and I may even disagree with this, and I think it's really good because you'll have different perspectives and see different things from different point of views. We'll even bring them in some guest speakers at times as well, and they'll have different points of view, right? So that's the whole idea behind this.
Which is really great. Rob, I'm just going to jump in for a second. Yeah. Christine just asked about webinar platform. We're actually on Webinar Jam right now, Christine, and we're just broadcasting live. It's one of the features, new features.
This is a hot off the press. This is the first time we're ever doing this. Webinar Jam right to Facebook Live. So you're seeing this raw in the flesh here. So that's kind of just want to get that settled, and then also just talk about how these meetings are going to work. So typically what we'll do is we'll talk about a topic that we think has been coming up quite a bit that could apply to everybody initially, give you some pro tips on what we've seen in this topic. And today's topic is landing pages. So we'll talk about different options you have with landing pages and what you should be considering, what makes up a good landing page, and kind of the science behind it, right? And then Kim actually has a really cool kind of hack or tweak that will really work for those who have affiliate programs and are using external landing pages. So we'll share with you kind of a live training in that. And the other thing is that these meetings are not for us to pitch any products or services. We're not here to do that, so it's not a pitch fest, and it's also not a bitch fest, right? We're not here, to really complain about Thinkific. We'd love to hear the struggles that you're having with the platform, and we're here to help you with that. But it's not meant for us to kind of, jump on the complain wagon and really start talking about things that are going wrong or not working out so well with you. So with that in mind, Kim, you have any other? Go ahead, Kim. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say we might refer them back to the tech team at Thinkific or Thinkific customer service, because really they are, the real experts of their company. So, Rob and I don't know everything about everything. We have sort of specialized skills. We've both worked with probably hundreds of Thinkific clients on different sites. So we have lots of experience, but we may just send you back their way if it's something that we think that you might need to go back to them for.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool. So I don't know if there was any comments or questions coming in on the Facebook Live, Kim, that we need to cover in terms of how these meetings are run. Do you see anything coming in, or?
No, not in terms of that. Christine, I'll just answer your question. It's a new feature of Webinar Jam that you can stream directly live. She asked what, a new feature of what. So it's a new feature of Webinar Jam that you can live stream straight to Facebook. Andrea says quick queue, lead pages, or click funnels, and I think we're going to dive into some of that. Maybe not which one is better, but we're going to talk about landing pages, external landing pages. Yeah, Rob?
Okay, cool. Yeah, and just so you know, Kim, I'm not seeing the questions come in, so I'm going to rely on you to just interrupt me at any point in time. Yeah, be my translator. All right, cool. Totally. So let's talk a little bit about landing pages. I get this question a lot. People come to me to customize landing pages, and that's one choice. But there's actually sometimes I even talk myself out of sales because it may not be the best solution for you. So we kind of cover, and Kim, I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because you do a lot with. I do a lot with kind of customizing landing pages, but you also do a lot with connecting external landing pages. Let's kind of cover just maybe some of the choices you have. So number one, you can use Thinkific's landing pages, and they're making some progress in this. They've released this landing page builder recently, and they have a few themes in there, and they're constantly improving that. And that is actually still a valuable option. A lot of people, you kind of see on the Facebook group, they may be complaining about it, but you could definitely still use just out-of-the-box Thinkific landing pages. And I'll talk a little bit more about, when you would want to use those and when you may not want to use those. But that's definitely one option for you. You get that out of the box. It's free. And then your second option is, connecting an external landing page system. And maybe, Kim, you can, kind of share your thoughts on that since you do more of that than I do.
Yeah, gosh, there's lots of them. I see a lot of people using their own website now for their landing pages. especially if you're using something like the Divi theme. It makes it really easy to build landing pages on your own website. I think there's definitely some benefits of continuing to drive traffic to your website, and the more pages that you have on your website, it's a good sign for Google. So I think that that's a viable option. I use lead pages. I know a lot of people that use lead pages. Then there's, Thrive themes. I connected someone's Thrive cart recently to Thinkific. So really, I mean, the options are endless. There's Unbounce, you name it. There's lots of landing page tools, and I think it really comes down to understanding, what you want out of that tool. So, for instance, I use lead pages because I like to have control of the design and the style, and yet I don't need to be a designer, a graphic designer, to make it look pretty. I make a joke with everyone that I can't make things look pretty. So, having the lead pages templates to work with and then doing some design on the side, it means I can get a landing page up and going pretty quickly. So it depends on how adept you are at styling, right, your own pages, and really what your ultimate goal is with them as well, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of when people come to me, I also ask them, like you said, what are you using today? Some people already have a website, like a WordPress website, and maybe it makes more sense for them to just connect it. And a lot of people, believe it or not, don't realize you just need to connect it to the checkout on Thinkific. And, how do you get that URL for the checkout? And there's different ways you can do that, which is pretty straightforward. So it's pretty easy to connect an external landing page system. So I totally agree. Like, it depends on how much effort you want to put into it, what sort of tools are you comfortable with, how much control do you want to have, and how much, you want to leverage in the tool. Some of these landing page builders, you get a lot of themes, you can try different things. When you're first starting out, I think that's really important because you don't know what's going to work or not. Even though I'm going to talk about some fundamentals that make sense for all different types of landing pages, I think it's going to be up to you, in terms of, all these different things that we're talking about in terms of how much control and how much you really want to mess with it, right? And then some people come in and don't want to be bothered with that at all, and they just want to basically say, okay, set this up for me. I want to focus on my content. I want to focus on marketing, not necessarily messing around with landing pages, right?
Totally. And I'm just going to interrupt for a sec, Rob. I just want to say hi to some of the people who've joined us, if I can, because this is sort of the first run of it, so I'm thrilled that there's some people here who have joined us. So hi, Christine and Andrea, Andreas. Who else do we have here? Leo, Christian. Yeah, so we've got lots of people on here. And there was a question, Rob, I think that relates to this. What are the pros and cons to use Thinkific versus an external landing page? And I think we've just kind of gone through a few of those.
Yeah. So just real quick on that. So this is my point of view. You can say what you think as well, Kim. But you have to weigh a lot of things. Like some of the things we already mentioned. But obviously, if you use an external landing page system, there's an external cost to it, right? And then you need to connect it to the right URL. And Kim will talk about well, how do you do coupon codes and how do you do affiliate tracking. So there's some things you need to think about. And maybe if you're just launching your first course, maybe you want to simplify things, right? And maybe you want to use Thinkific. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I don't like the way the Thinkific pages look, but I'm going to tell you in a few minutes, like, looks really doesn't matter. Like, it does matter. Like, it does matter to a degree in terms of the perceived value and your brand. And, of course, you want it to look like yours. But people are not buying the looks of the page; they're buying your course and the results. So we'll talk about that. So if you're just starting out, using Thinkific's landing page might just be an option for you to start with. And I'll give you some tips in a minute. Yeah. Yeah,
and I think it's a great option, Rob, especially for first-time course creators. As you're getting your feet wet, I think you need to focus on driving traffic to the page. Obviously, your page needs to be pretty, but more than that, it needs to connect with your audience. And your sales page is the last stop on a bus. So there's a lot of other things that you need to think about before someone even gets to your sales page.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a good segue because one of the next topics I was going to talk about is actually what you should be thinking about before you think about your sales page, and that's And that's how you're going to get traffic to the sales page, right? Because what you put on that sales page is really important to the types of people that are coming to your website, right? To your landing page. So, if the people already know you and, they know what you do and they know a lot about you, that's going to shape what belongs on that page, right? Whereas if people have no idea who you are, you're going to need to put a lot more on that page to convince them to buy, right? So having an idea on how you're going to bring traffic and who those people are really should be like clear in your head before you start thinking about your landing page. And it's funny because a lot of people, like when I ask them, I say, well, how do you get traffic to your website? They say, well, I didn't figure that out yet. It's kind of like, build it, they will come. That really is not the best kind of plan. You should think about how you're going to bring people to the site and then how are you going to convert them to purchase, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the, sort of when you look at like the big mistakes, it's build the course first and then hope that you're going to get people in there, or drive cold traffic to a sales page and hope that it's going to convert. There's this, thing that we call the buyer journey, which is, a whole sort of journey that is going to get them from where they are now to the final destination. And the buyer journey not only goes for inside your course, but it also goes for marketing your course. And that last stop for them before they get into your course is the sales page. So Jim is asking, hi Jim, by the way, I know that you'd sent in a question. He says, but we don't have very much control over the look of the sales page. It's clunky and too prescribed on Thinkific for a non-coder. Ideas?
Yeah, so let me talk about that for a second because, and Kim, I don't know if I've done this exercise with you, but usually when people come in, they ask me, hey, I want a beautiful looking, landing page. I say, I kind of do this like Jedi Mindtrick on them. And I say, no, you don't want to, spend too much time talking about yourself on the landing page. So I go through this exercise. I kind of stole it from one of my mentors, James Wedmore, and it's so stick with me for a second. It's kind of it's interesting. So just pretend you go to a beach, right? And you see somebody.
My eyes for this exercise.
Yeah, so it's funny because I deal with a lot of yoga instructors and mine, so maybe I should have this nice music in the background. But so just pretend you're going to a beach and you see somebody out in the water and they're drowning. There's nobody else around except for you, right? So what do? You try to get out there as quick as you can and save them, right? So they're drowning. Like all they care about is they want to get from a bad place to a good place, and the good place is on the beach. So when you get out there, you kind of tell them like, okay, if you put your hands this way, you're going to be able to swim a lot quicker. And oh, by the way, we're going to go over here to, to where the water is flowing a lot faster, and you're going to get to shore. And your whole goal is to get them, to save them as quick as possible, like the quickest route possible. Like they don't care that you got out there in a pool float or, swimmies or a yacht. They don't care if you're a celebrity or just a bum off the street. They just care that you save them, right? And that's what your course should do. You should be thinking about how are you going to take a person from a place they don't want to be to where they should be, and how are you going to show them the way to get there, the quickest way possible. So, if you think about it in that way, like it really sets the tone for everything. Like, who are you attracting? You want to attract the person that's going to value what you're going to give them as something really important, right? So that's going to shape who you target. And then it's also going to shape what you put on the sales page or the landing page. Like you need to communicate this. You need to communicate, I'm going to take you from here to here, and this is how I'm going to do it. And this is what you're going to get along the way if you follow my plan, right? And that's what simply needs to go on the page. So Jim, when you're thinking about, Thinkific's landing page, think about how are you going to communicate that. Now, there's lots of different ways you can do that. Right, and I think maybe the piece that a lot of people struggle with on the Thinkific side is they give you basically a clean canvas, right? And that's where people are struggling with. And so you end up, I see a lot of people come in and it's just text after text after text, right? And that makes it difficult for videos
or nothing but images.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a simple video. People will watch that. And that might be even more effective than having all that copy. And you can even just go with that, right? Or break up that copy with some images so it's more readable. Things like that. You don't really need, something that looks like, it costs you thousands of dollars. And this is coming from me, who's like selling these, multiple thousands of dollars services here for custom designs. You can get away with doing that. And again, think about who's coming to your landing page. How aware are they of the problem that they have and the problem that you're solving, right? If they're not so aware, you need to spend more time kind of convincing them of that. And I'll go through some of the sections I think belongs on a good landing page in a second. So Kim, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, in order to do that, it's always surprising to me how many of just people in general, not even just my clients, just people in general who are creating courses, when I say to them, who's your ideal client? Well, I don't know, I could serve lots of people. Well, yes, of course you could. But the thing is, with a landing page, you need to speak to one specific person. If there's one of those people, there's probably 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 of them. But when you have to know that person really well, inside and out, like their best friend. Like I say, you have to be able to describe them like they are sitting there, like you are describing your best friend, because they need to identify. As soon as they land on your sales page, they need to be able to self-identify with what you're talking about. And you lead them through a journey from where they are now to where they're going to be. But knowing who that is that you're talking to, in my opinion, is vital.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I even tell my clients when they're launching for the first time, I say to them, well, let's not sell your course right now, right? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm coming to you to help me sell the course. I'm like, no. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do live training for 4 weeks, right? This is what you're going to do. You're going to get a small group of people and you're going to actually deliver your course live, right? Yeah, so this is going to have that live component thing that we talked about before, and it really helps because then you're actually engaging with people who will potentially buy your course, or at least give you a good idea if you're hitting the right people and if your course is delivering the right results that they want. And having this information will definitely help you kind of build this landing page when you truly launch your program. So. And it's not really so much initially about quantity, and people are so consumed with building a list, and I'm going to spend all this time building a list. You don't really need that out of the gate, right? A lot of people say, your launch will build your list. It's not the other way around. So if you first start off with making sure that your course is delivering the goods, right, it'll just help understanding and how you position it, sell it, market it, all that good stuff, right?
Well, I think you need to, instead of worrying about building your list, you need to worry about building relationships. Because every one of these people are potential students, clients, customers. So worry about building your relationships first. And as you're doing that by delivering a pilot program, or even just doing your research or talking to potential learners, you're going to listen for things like the language that they're using, the phrases that they use over and over again. I actually said to one of my coaching clients today, who's on here right now, here's the thing, you need to, I totally forgot what I was just going to say.
That's the great thing about doing it live. You can look at comments and everything at the same time. No, it's about, it's making that connection because they are buying you as well. Like that example I talked about before about going out and saving the person in the water. If I taught the guy how to swim, how to navigate the waters, then he can use that for the next time. Like if I came out in a yacht and I looked all flashy and everything and said, hey, and then dropped them off at the shore, it's like, bye-bye, see you later. It's the same thing, it's like your course is getting them from point A to point B, but there's also this you factor, which is huge, right?
Right.
So
I remember what I was going to say, Rob. Can I jump in again? Okay. Sometimes it happens. So the biggest compliment that you can get, and I say compliment, not necessarily a verbal compliment, that I can get, or you as a course creator can get, is when someone lands on your course sales page and then they either enroll in your course and message you or message you anyways and say, you're speaking to me, Kim. As soon as I landed on that page, it's like you were talking to me. It's not magic. I've done my research. I know what language and phrases that my potential learners use. I've gone down that path. I've talked to them. I've done the research. Like it's not magic that we land on sales pages and go, oh my God, they're talking to me and you're telling me exactly what I've been thinking.
Right.
This is the research that you need to do before. You can't just suddenly come up with copy and expect that it's going to connect with your audience. And on top of that, just because you create a landing page that you think is great, it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be tweaked and edited and changed and updated as you go along and find out more about your potential client.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to show you guys later on just a quick tip on how to analyze the landing page and how you can actually visually see people using your landing page with a really simple kind of free tool that you can install on your Thinkific site. So I'll get to that a little bit later. So let's just talk a little bit about, so Kim, was there another follow-up question to that? Or?
Yeah, I'm jumping in. So number one, thank you if you've just joined us. I'm Kim Garnett. Rob Galvin is the co-host on ProTips Live, and we're just sharing our experience and some awesome tips about using Thinkific and about course creation and launch. So do us a favor and click the share button below and send us some hearts as well, and let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing before, because this is our first time doing this as ProTips Live in this way. So I just wanted to say that, Rob. And second of all, Andrea's got a question here. What are the benefits of having your sales page on Divi versus in a lead pages or ClickFunnels? Would you like to go there?
I didn't hear the beginning part of that question, Kim. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Was I talking fast? Probably. So Andrea says, what are the benefits of having your sales page on Divi versus in a lead pages or using ClickFunnels?
Between those three or just external? I mean, I don't really know the comparison between those three. But, you know, externally, I think it's just a matter of, you know, again, kind of going back to what we talked about before about how much control you want to have, what sort of tools you use already with maybe some other things that you're doing with your website. Maybe you're having a blog strategy or what have you. It's you know, what tools will work for you and how much time you want to spend in it and how much control you want to have. So that's kind of like, you know, just a generic answer to that. It may not be exactly what you're looking for, but it's all going to be down to those, you know, kind of personal preferences. Kim, do you have any other thoughts on that? Yeah,
I think that part's really important, is knowing what your goals are, and then finding the right tool for that goal. So what I like about Divi, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's a WordPress theme, one that I use on most of my websites actually. And what I love about using Divi for sales pages is that I'm constantly driving traffic back to my own website, which is ultimately the goal. So if I have an exit pop-up on my website, or I have a hello bar at the top with notifications, you know, if I have anything on my website that I want to highlight, I like being able to do it on my website, and I like always driving traffic to my website because that helps with Google rankings. So I like that aspect of Divi. What I like about lead pages, though, Andrea, is that you can quickly and easily create a landing page. Divi wasn't made necessarily for landing pages or for sales pages. Lead pages is. And so the templates you can choose from, I can literally have a lead page done in, you know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes if I have all the copy that I need for it. So again, but it's not your own website. So that has to be taken into consideration too.
Cool. Were there any other questions along that topic, Kim? Or?
Nope. Camel says great information. Thanks for sharing and explaining. Nope. That's it for now, Rob.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to cover some of the components of the page, and maybe it will help you no matter what system you're using, Thinkific, custom, Divi, what have you. There's many different ways to put together a sales page, right? So kind of going back a little bit, so think about who's coming to the page and how aware is your prospect of you and the problem that you're solving. That's going to help shape what you put in there. But let me go through some of the different kind of content blocks that I usually put on a sales page that typically works. And you can kind of do this in different ways. But the whole idea behind the sales page is to get them from the top to the bottom, right? To get them to your call to action. And you may have your call to action, you know, which is to buy, right? Sprinkled throughout, depending on how long the page is. But you want to have one call to action. Believe it or not, it's, you know, when I first started doing this, a lot of people were just throwing in links in the headers, like to the blog, to this, to that. No. You just want to drive them to one specific thing on that page, is to buy, right? So just remember that, but just kind of let's talk about some of the components. So the first thing they're going to hit is that top section, that hero section, you know, it's been referred to. And this is kind of like the sniff test. It's like, you know, is this site for me? You know, like quickly, That's kind of how I position it. Like the sniff test, like, should I continue browsing? Should I scroll down? And a lot of people, they'll do that sniff test and then they'll immediately go to pricing. So that's another reason why you don't put pricing in the header. But, they'll start scrolling around, and I'll talk about how you can actually see this. But it's that sniff test. The first thing you need to identify with the person, right? What is that promise that big promise that's going to come out? And there's different ways you can do, the copy on there. We're not getting into copywriting right now, but just talk about the components, right? So identifying them right up at the gate, right in the front, and then you want to get them to continue reading down, right? So what you don't want to do is now all of a sudden just puke on them with all of your core stuff. You don't want to just say like, here it is, too much, overwhelmed, right? You need to kind of slowly get them in to what you're giving them. So, identify with them, kind of agitate some of the pain points that they may be having with that particular problem that your course solves, right? And then usually what I call the next section is, and a lot of this is kind of quickly scannable because a lot of people, they like to skim. But the next section I call the after party, right? So after you show them the pain points, you show them the win points, kind of in a really quick scannable, point of view, so they can quickly see this before and after. Like, I'm in the bad place, now I'm going to be in the good place, right? If I take this course. So by that time, they're kind of like, maybe this is interesting. Should I continue reading? Again, you want to keep getting them down the page. So now it's like, okay, you got their interest. You don't want to puke on them again, right? So you just say like, okay, introducing blah, here's your course, really short and sweet. Oh, okay, again, it's identifying with their problem. This course is for me. Let me continue reading. Then you break down your course. This is what you get. Here are the chapters. Here's how I'm going to get you from A to B, right? So they kind of see your system, your path that you're giving them. That's why they're buying your course. You're giving them this path. So show it to them. Show them how you're going to get them through this path. And I call that kind of the breakdown section. So by that time, they should be like, wow, this seems pretty interesting. Now they start, seeing like, okay, this sounds like it's for me, but now they start throwing objections in their head. Now it's like, oh no, I can't buy this because I don't have time, I don't have money, I'm not really sure it's for me, I don't trust the guy, right? So this is what I call the objection buster section. You need to bust down all those objections that they're throwing up in their head. So that means you need to spend some time thinking about it, not just why they should buy, but why they're thinking they're not going to buy, right?
And I'm going to interrupt for a second. You need to do more than think about it. I know that you meant this, Rob, but I'm just going to clarify this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you think about it. It matters what the actual objections are. And if you haven't run the course before, then do your research, talk to people, find out what the objections are so that you can actually bust those objections.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And a lot of times, you definitely need to get the specifics, because once you get those words, like specifically why, that is more powerful than being generic. But generically, I kind of see some themes like, it's either money, obviously, right? Prices, no matter what, I don't care. Everybody has an objection to price. And you want to combat that in a few different ways. I'll tell you how. But then it's also time commitment. How long is this going to take? Everybody's busy. How easy is this, this course going to be? Is it really super complicated? Or is it something that, I can get it done in a weekend? So a lot of those things really kind of, those are the top ones. And then there's, some other ones that kind of spin off of that. But those are some of the key objections that people will bring up, right? So you need to combat those. And sometimes you can just come out and say like, I know you may think this is too much, but you spend more money on Starbucks in a month, or something that will just kind of just negate their whole idea that it's too expensive for me. The whole idea is, this page, you want to get them to be so eager to get to that buy button. Like, you want it to be a no-brainer where they're like happy to put in their credit card information, not like where they're like
excited.
Yeah, like you want to make them excited. So how do you do that after they kind of get through that objection busting? The next section that I put on my sales pages is what I call the offer boosters. So now by this time they're kind of like, okay, this is for me. All right, I think he has all my objections solved. And now you come in with, bam, here are, these other things that increase the value of your course. Now, it doesn't have to be like you're giving all these bonuses, and a lot of people will throw in, bonus this, bonus that, which is really good. But also it could just be simply like your reputation and your time and that you factor, like how much direct access, whether it's through a Facebook group or a weekly call. How much do you have built into what they're getting, right? So you boost the value. So basically, by the time, remember, we haven't talked about price yet. So by the time you get to the section on the page, they don't even know. In their head, they're kind of thinking okay, how much is this going to cost me? But you know how much it is, right? So by the time on that page, you want to basically negate all this and make them feel like they're getting 10 times what it's going to cost them, And then this way, once they get to that buy button, it's yeah, let me click on that buy button. And yeah.
Sorry, can I jump in here for a sec, Rob?
Yeah.
When you sell on value and results, price becomes far less of an issue.
Yeah.
Don't sell on price. You have to sell on value, and more importantly, you have to sell on results. Because you might think your course is really valuable, but if it doesn't get them the results that they're looking for, then it's not valuable to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and don't price your, we'll talk a lot about price, but don't price your, course too low. A lot of people do that just to see if they can get people to buy, but that also makes them feel like they're not getting their money's worth and it's not valuable, right? And, it's do you want to attract Walmart customers or you want to attract more high-end, retail stores? So,
and I think we probably tackle price, course prices in totally separate. It's a big topic, right? Absolutely.
And we could probably have 5 topics on landing pages. We'll just kind of give you the the main pieces that make sense and the different options you have, and just think about that. And as you're constructing the page, it doesn't matter what you're using. You need to get these components on there to deliver this message. It's about delivering the message on how you're going to get them from a bad place to a good place and how you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, it's a story. It's a journey that you're taking them on.
Yeah. So cool. Just do a quick time check. Yeah, I know we said we were going to try it, which I didn't mention in the beginning. Sorry, guys. We're going to try to do these meetings probably about 45 minutes. We know everybody's time is valuable. So we'll try to keep it to that. Sometimes we may go over if Kim and I start going on a rant and start arguing with each other. But,
and we're normally, I should tell them this too, we're normally doing this on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So today, because we're doing a test run, we're doing it at a different time. But normally starting this Thursday, it'll be Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. And if you have done the Messenger chatbot that Rob set up, thanks, Rob. Then you'll get notifications when we are going live. And I'm going to interrupt with a question from one of the viewers, Rob. And it says, Dear Mr. Rob, just now you mentioned we may track our visitors in our Thinkific pages. Is it that we install Google Analytics? So I think that maybe he's talking.
Oh, yeah, cool. That's a great segue. I was actually going to start talking about this.
Awesome.
So it's not Google Analytics. You can definitely put Google Analytics on there, which is great for looking at numbers. But what you want to do, and especially initially when you're starting, is to see how great would it be if you were to actually sit behind somebody's shoulder and watch them go through your page, right? So
I
you
love
can do
this. You showed me this tool, and this is a game-changing tool.
Yeah, I had it loaded, ready to go, but we had some technical difficulties before, so I can't show it to you, but I'll definitely put a video up there for you. It's called HotJar. So if you go to hotjar.com, we'll share a link in the comments and sign up for a free account, and they'll give you basically a small snippet, right? A snippet of code that you just copy and paste, and you put it in the site footer code for the Thinkific in the Thinkific admin screen. So you go to Thinkific Advanced Settings, and you'll see something in there that says site footer code. You just plop that right in there, and basically what it does is it records people browsing your site, right? You actually see the mouse.
Visually records them.
Yeah, visually, you watch it back like you're watching a movie, right? And what's cool about it is,
isn't it? A weird way. It's kind of like I feel like a bit of a voyeur when I go on and look at my recordings.
Yeah, you don't see the camera, but you actually see the screen, right? So it would be kind of cool if they show the camera in their face and expression, but you just see the screen. But what's cool is you can kind of see where their eyes are based on where their mouse is. So the one example I was going to show you was on my site, and I can see the mouse sitting in the center, and it basically stayed there. And the guy or girl, whatever, was scrolling slowly. You can see how fast they scroll. So I can tell that they're actually reading the copy, right? And then I can see them pausing on certain sections and going back and reviewing they're kind of doing that sniff test. So you can actually see people, how they're interacting with your site, and it gives you a lot of insights, which is a lot more powerful than looking at numbers in Google Analytics, right?
And do you know what's so cool, Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally interrupted. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So what's so cool about it, I think, is that something that I found by watching the recordings over and over and doing a little bit of research on my own is that we move our mouse to where we're looking at or where we're reading. So you're not guessing. For most people, if you look at those recordings, their mouse is actually moving over the place that they're reading as they're sort of reading it. So you really can visually see, for the most part, what they're doing and what they're spending, not just because of the scrolling, but because of where their mouse is moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there's so much you can learn from this tool, and it's free. They give you so many recordings a month, and you just delete them. And if you want to stay on the free plan, you can, or if you want to upgrade and just not worry about that. But it's tons of valuable insights you can learn from that. And then when you start thinking about the design, like when I do a design, I think about that with that in mind. So sometimes I may do like a tab type of feature so I can see where people are clicking, so that I can see what features are more important, like what is getting their attention. So there's different ways you can, kind of build that into how you actually do the page, and you can see what areas they may be spending more time on, and it just helps you in terms of how you communicate things. So if you see somebody, constantly slowing down in a particular section of your page, and they're reading this feature or this bonus, you probably want to start talking about that a lot more in your Facebook, in your marketing, whatever, right? Because this is what people are interested in, right? So this is all like little pro tips, right, and how to get some insights into using it. So,
sorry, what did you say? Pro tips?
Yeah, pro tips live. So, all right, cool. So that's enough about that. I was hoping to show that to you, but I know Kim also wants to show this little hack, or I don't know what we're calling it, Kim. Maybe it's a pro hack, but it's not really a hack.
It's a hack for sure, Rob. Like, I know it's the simplest. Can I tell you what happened here? So for years, with Thinkific's version 1 themes, before they came out with their version 2 themes around, I think it was August of this year, I used to be able to take the HTML code from a page that I built out elsewhere and drop it into Thinkific, into my course sales page, and it would basically be my course sales page. That's the way it would show up on the front end with some margins on it. But when they came out with V2 themes and the majority of us upgraded or changed over to V2 themes, you could no longer drop this code in because Thinkific scrubs it. So since August, I've been pulling my hair out trying to figure out the best way to redirect a sales page. I don't want people necessarily landing on my Thinkific sales page. I want them landing on an external sales page. But here's the kicker. I have affiliates, and my clients, some of them have affiliates. So then you had to figure out what affiliate code you had to give them for this particular lead page, or you had to be building multiple pages and hooking in the affiliate. It was a nightmare. This gray hair here, that was the issue.
Gray hair? What are you talking about? I don't want to hear about gray hair. I got plenty of gray hair. So wait a second, Kim. So just I want to be clear. This is for people who are using external pages, and the problem that is really about, okay, when you start bringing affiliates in, right, which is probably a whole nother topic, and how do you do that strategy? We can talk about another day. But how do you maintain this affiliate code, which is important for your affiliates to get their
right, because they get an affiliate code that when they send that traffic to my site, it records a cookie. If they don't send them to my site because they're sending them to one of my external landing pages, there's no cookie recorded.
Yeah.
That's important because they don't get paid out if they don't use that tracking affiliate link. So yes, that's part of the problem, Rob, is the whole affiliate thing, which yes, we can deal with another day. But the second part was I didn't really want to use Thinkific's native page builder for my course sales pages. I wanted to use lead pages or Divi for it. And so being able to redirect them easily and quickly, auto redirect them to a different page when they clicked on my course card on the homepage of my Thinkific site, it was driving me crazy. I probably could have asked you. I should have asked you. Anyways, I didn't. But Jessica Stansbury, who I follow on YouTube, who's great, by the way, created this hack or came up with this hack or found this hack. My whole life changed, like literally in front of my eyes. I just burst into tears. It is one piece of code that I add into my Thinkific course page, right, in my course dashboard, and it automatically redirects people over to my lead page or my Divi page or whatever it is while maintaining the cookies if it's an affiliate sending traffic to that page. Am I getting too complicated here, Rob?
No, are you going to show it? Like, is it quick enough where you can just share your screen? Were you planning on showing it, or?
Well, I can show. What I'm going to do is drop a link to my blog post that has the actual code in it.
Cool.
But what I was going to do, actually, you know what? It's all on the video. So I think that's probably the best way is to go over, watch the video, and get the code, and they can see exactly how it works.
All right. Awesome.
Anyway, it's a game changer for those, because I'm always seeing in the Thinkific Facebook group, people are saying, how can I use my own sales page with Thinkific and make it kind of a seamless process? And it's literally so easy to just drop this code in here after you've done. It's 5 to 10 minutes, and you're automatically redirecting. It's a beautiful, I'm seriously so excited about it, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the best thing is, I did watch the video, the best thing is you don't have to go into any of the theme code at all, even though it's a little piece of code. You just go into the page, you know, the course settings, drop it in there, and you're good to go. Like, literally, it's just probably like a two minute fix. So
yeah,
awesome,
you don't have to be a coder. You don't have to be a coder. I think that's the best part. Like, I'm a tech geek, but I'm not a coder. And course creators in general are not marketers, and they're not coders, and have to go into the theme and play around and, you know, hope that you don't mess something up too bad. It's kind of scary. So this is a piece of code that you drop in to a section that you would normally be in anyways on your Thinkific course sales page. So I'm going to drop the link in here. Go check that out. Grab that code if you're using an external page, with the caveat that if you've had your Thinkific site customized in any way, check with your developer first to make sure there's not going to be any implications. Yes, Rob?
Yeah, I think it should just work anyway. So it's just going to read through. So it should be fine. You should be good to go. So awesome. Good tip. Check out the comments for the link on that one. And normally what we do is, I know we went a little bit long, just kind of us kind of blabbing on the landing pages. Hopefully you found some value in that. But the whole intention of this was for you guys to ask questions live as well. And sometimes we'll actually do like a hot seat. We'll bring somebody on live and we'll go deep on their problem and kind of solve it live on the fly, which would be really cool. Should be interesting. But we won't do that tonight because we ran a little long. But Kim, what sort of questions do we have coming in before we close this out?
There are no questions yet. Karenza says, I hadn't even thought about our affiliates going to the Thinkific page yet. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about. Jim says, thanks. This was helpful. Great, Jim. Hopefully that answered your question. Andrea says, thanks. Yep, no, lots of people. I'm so thrilled that there were so many people here with us tonight, and thank you for being such an engaged audience. Yeah, this is supposed to be just like a webinar chat for Rob and I, but we got a lot more than that, so that was cool.
Yeah, so let us know how we did. So this way, we want to continually hear feedback from you guys. Whether you do it, do it on our, on our Facebook page there. Send us comments in the chat, and always go back and submit your questions for some new sessions every Thursday. We're going to be doing this. So before Thursday, just hit the Facebook Messenger bot, and there's a link for you to submit questions. We'll look at those. We'll answer as many as we can live. And then join us live, and we'll answer your questions for you. So let us know how we did and what we can do to improve. Yeah, and just let us know what you'd like to see next time. Other topics. Like I said before, we're trying to pick some general topics that we think would apply to everybody and help everybody either launch or grow their business with Thinkific. And like I said, we'll bring in some guest speakers as well on particular topics. If there's certain areas like Facebook advertising or graphics or video production, content production. Kim and I have quite a bit of resources from all the client work that we've done, and I'm sure we can get people on to kind of help us in all those different areas. So please let us know. And if you haven't done so, check the button above and subscribe to the Facebook Messenger bots and get some alerts on when we're going to be doing the next session.
Yeah, awesome. That was so much fun, Rob. That time it goes by so quickly, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Time flies when you're having fun, right? So cool. I appreciate everybody coming on today. Really, thanks a lot for participating and helping us through this dry run. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday, and hope to see you every Thursday going forward as well. So, Kim, any last final words?
Nothing. I got nothing for you, Rob.
All right. Cool beans. All right.
Thursday.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
All right. See you then.